onboarding and group onboarding. That's an area that we find that we hear from our customers that they're focusing on, and we did a lot of innovation on that area as a solution. And we will hear the experts from here today and the practitioners as to how they have thought through this, how they are wanting to implement this in their own organizations, and how, in a way, Newgen as an organization can also, because we have been working in this area for a very, very long time in multiple geographies. So obviously we bring in some of the best practices that has been happening across the globe. And as I said, the region is a marquee region for us for next 5 years, and we really want to bring in all those experiences of ours in the region here. And of course, so we have some customers who are already kind of using them, and we look forward to more such opportunities with more of the prospects and the customers that we're looking forward to. So, we have specialist experts in digital transformation, especially in the onboarding space, from Ernst & Young in Jamaica. We have practitioners here from Victoria Mutual, NCB, with whom we will have a discussion, we'll have an interaction, and finally, one of our experts is also going to present something about the group onboarding in today's session. Followed by, of course, we'll have some luncheon session, and I'm expecting most of you to stay for that. I know you have a busy schedule, but a more interaction and during the lunch sessions will really, really help all of us from the knowledge that we gain from this session. I take this opportunity again to welcome you, and I would like to bring in Justin Moran to give his presentation as a specialist in digital transformation from Ernst & Young. He has been a C-suite advisor for a very long time and has an experience of more than 20 years in the territory. He is a localite, and we would invite him to talk and give a presentation of what his thoughts are around digital onboarding, and then take it on for a panel discussion with some of the practitioners. Justin, you want to come over and take it on? Please welcome Justin.
Thank you very much. I think I have to connect from here, so.
Need any help?
I think we should be good. Just make sure Wi-Fi is off. Let's go. The digital transformation guy cannot have issues connecting. So welcome everybody. Good to have you all here. This will be a little bit of an intimate setting with all of you. I'm really happy that we can get together again face to face. It feels like it's been such a long time. Recently I went to a conference in New York, and it was just amazing. I mean, 500 people in the room, mixing and mingling like old times, and it was just really refreshing to hear people face to face on stage rather than being behind a screen. So I'm really happy to be here with all of you doing this today. My presentation's really about changing with the times, digital transformation, and moving with the pace of change. And I'd like to start with that story of Nokia. And I know you're all here because you don't want to be like Nokia. Nokia is, if you all grew up in the 90s or 2000s, you would know Nokia very well. I see someone rolling their eyes. Nokia was, the leader in mobile phones, and, hands up if you had an 1100 phone. Yeah. And they were one of the most resilient phones from a hardware perspective, and they were the leader in the space. They had 80% market share. They made 53 billion euros at one point. They had 55,000 employees. Today, they have disappeared. They do not exist anymore. And that speaks to the urgency of transformation and keeping that always at the forefront of the minds of your executives, of your employees. That digital transformation today is really all about total transformation of your business. And you can't just think of it as only a tech problem. You know, it involves people, processes, change management, mindset changes, and execution. It's all about execution. The second sort of strategic imperative that many of you would have sort of felt over the last couple of years, you know, was brought on by the pandemic. And what the pandemic had really done is really change the behavior of consumers and change the way they wanted to interact with their financial services organization. And I'm sure many of you had to scramble in the back to suddenly deliver a number of your services online. And, you know, and with that comes a whole other host of issues and challenges. And, you know, what you thought was innovative 2 years ago is actually now core for your business. And so you need to be restarting again and thinking, how do I innovate one more time again? How do I push the envelope in my transformation efforts to improve some of those experiences that I probably patched together that are still semi-manual, semi-automated, because I had to react so quickly? How do I now push the envelope to continue that transformation journey and take it to the next level? So moving with the pace of change really sort of comes into sharper focus when you look at how fintech companies too are continuing to disrupt your industry, which probably, again, you know these themes here very well. All these companies here in the fintech space are really already built on cutting-edge technologies. You know, they deliver their products and services to customers faster, safer, in a more sort of convenient setting, you know, offering them a much superior experience than many of the traditional banks today. The lending industry, as you know, is also facing significant disruption, just based on how they're able to onboard customers really quickly. They're able to do this straight-through processing of loans, quick sort of agile decision-making already built into their processes. They have different rules on how they engage customers. They are also able to do this at a much lower cost. You know, externally, you're also facing customers who expect to do their transactions remotely through some mobile application, anywhere, anytime. And many of them are doing a really good job of serving these customers. And I put a couple of logos up here that maybe you would think, why is a Dollar Financial there? Well, maybe they're not doing a lot digitally, but they are disrupting your space. They are serving that underserved with a different product, a different service. And how long do you think it's going to be before they get in the digital space and they're able to target your customers in the same way they've obviously been able to crack that process for a different segment than the banks are willing to serve? How long before they start looking up? You know, so you have disruption right here on your doorstep. But I'm pretty sure that you all know that already. But everyone, including probably your own executives, understand, you know, the importance of investing in transformation. But for some reason, there is this execution disconnect. we often do strategy sessions with financial institutions, and the complaint you hear all the time is, well, we have all these ideas, we have all these initiatives to do, but they never really get done. And if you look at some of the stats here, 93%, sorry, adjust this, 93% of the folks in our interview in this survey, have reviewed their strategy in the last year or two. So they have on their roadmap major transformations already planned. They see the need to invest in transformation. I think it's here, more than 67% are willing to invest in transformation. But if you look at the last two stats on the bottom right, only 37% of them are tied to some vision or strategy. That's a big divide. Why is that? What creates that disconnect? And if you look at that last stat on people transformation, very little also invest in that side of the business to really drive transformation home. And so what you get is leaders look at tech transformations as exactly that, a tech transformation, and not a total business transformation. And that creates a sort of disconnect between strategy and what they know they need to do and actual execution. Sure, yeah.
So could you go back to that last slide? So I have two questions.
Mm-hmm.
This survey was conducted with who?
This one was with CEOs. Sorry, I don't know if you can see it at the bottom. Yeah.
Is it in emerging economies, in first world countries?
This would be a global survey with global CEOs. So likely a mix of both emerging as well as developed. Yeah.
The second part is really a segue, because I've seen a lot of these stats. The question is it applicable to the space that we exist in? Because one of the emerging issues that we have, especially when it comes to digital transformation, is the economies of scale. So a Bank of America, for example, I hope nobody from there is here, have much deeper pockets than, a local bank in an emerging economy. So would these numbers, would these stats that are presented be applicable to our situation, given the dynamics that we have to work with?
Well, absolutely, because I see it. I'm in the local market. We talk to a lot of clients. I see that disconnect. I also think that there's a lot of push to digitally transform locally. But think about it also from a consumer standpoint. Do the consumers really feel a difference? I mean, yes, a lot of services were transferred online in some way because of the pandemic. But, I mean, digital onboarding is a good one. How many banks can you actually be onboarded digitally? Zero. None. How many additional services can you actually onboard digitally? Zero. And that's an issue. There's a disconnect there because you have good ideas, you know it needs to be done. There's investment, or they say that, we want to invest in great, exceptional customer experience, but it's not happening. And that's a big challenge that you all face, with digital transformation. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think there's a lot of positives to take out of this, in that the CEOs are showing more and more that interest in driving transformation. But as consumers, are we really feeling it yet? Particularly as you look at your local industry here, I think there's still a long way to go. Yeah.
And it's expensive.
Yeah. So one thing's for sure, if we think about what customers are saying, you know, customers are really driven now more towards companies that are able to meet their needs for immediacy. And there was a stat here that says 90% of customers consider an immediate response as important or very important when they have a question. Also, if you think about, sorry, where is that other stat? 72% think that it's really very or extremely important that all financial activities are seamlessly integrated when they're interacting with their financial provider. That's really all about immediacy. They don't want to have to go and talk to somebody to ask a question about, do you have mortgages? How do I do that application? Where can I go for that? They expect that to be available. They expect transparency. They expect trust. I mean, if we just stay on trust for a second, you know, what do you guys do with our TRN? Like, what do you do with our TRN? I've given my bank my TRN 8 times, maybe 10 times. So things like that, questions of trust. What are you doing with my TRN? Where is it going? Why do you not have that built into your processes if I'm going to take a car loan or a mortgage? That doesn't make any sense for customers on the outside. We also expect that convenience, having that multiple services through one window where we can go through that selection, or it's selected for us on our behalf. And that sort of transparency, you know, just doesn't exist today. But that's what customers are expecting now. So you have to catch up. And I'll tell you, when I leave here today, I'm taking an Uber back to the office. I didn't take Ubers before. I didn't drive down here. I'm not driving into New Kingston, but I don't need to because the service is great. I buy it on my phone. I can track them. The payment goes to the phone. I don't need cash. And I didn't have to drive and struggle with parking. So just think of how my own customer needs have shifted towards a taxi service that I probably would have never have thought of before 4 years ago. But now it's so convenient that I'm drawn towards a new brand offering a new service. And that's a really important understanding to have on how consumer behaviors are changing and how you need to respond to those changes. So you don't want to be a Nokia. So here's what's interesting in terms of what a recent survey as well that we did, and what colleagues like yourself, you know, in charge of the technology roadmap, you know, here's what they're saying about where their focus areas are. And, you know, the most important 3 are automation, modernization of core functions, and customer insights. You know, and those are sort of what you'd say some of the rapid changes that banks needed to make as a result of the pandemic, you know, really forced you again to look at how do you move what you call innovative to core, and then start focusing on improving on that process automation, taking that to another level. And then naturally, that turns your focus towards your core systems. Do you have the right core systems to respond to that? To respond to what some of these new applications that you can now deploy in order to help you build out new capabilities, new products, new services. And then, of course, the more and more data that you're capturing through your digital interactions, the more it's going to allow you to do something with that data, to find new opportunities, new services by mining and harnessing that data. So it's not surprising to see that these are the top 3 sort of focus areas when CIOs and CTOs were polled on where are they looking at now to accelerate their digital transformation. So constantly challenging yourself, you know, asking the right questions is often what we see as a key characteristic that will separate yourselves from the others. And just to sort of double click on process automation for a second, it does sort of require that you be a little more strategic about your digital transformation and that you are examining the right questions. But again, flipping the script is going to be important, where you're not looking at the world through the lens of only IT and tech transformations, but really through the lens of business, the business vision, understanding how the business wants to service customers today and in the future. And so really unpacking the right questions and constantly challenging yourself on them, I think is what really we see defines the successful companies versus the rest. So if you look at process automation, are you replicating existing processes with automation, or are you using automation as an enabler in broader efforts to redesign or build new capabilities? When should you automate? When should you eliminate certain manual processes? Those are all critical questions to keep challenging yourself on. How do you know if you've chosen the right fit-for-purpose automation solution for each scenario? And today we'll talk a little bit about group onboarding and the Newgen application there, and having third-party partners to help you on this process, is really important to really drive the kind of change that you want. And then again, it filters over to the modernization of your core systems, where you also need to make sure that your core systems are built for this ecosystem of applications, best-in-class, best-in-service applications that will make you better at what you do, and so you can focus on your core activities. This last one I like, do we change our people, or the way our people work? And that's always, again, a constant challenge on how do you make this work in the right way for you. Transformation can't be just tech only. It has to focus as well on the people. And what we get often is that question of, well, I hear you, you're going to bring best-in-class process, but I need XYZ changes because compliance requires that. This one needs a report, and this one wants to be inserted in the approval process. And that eliminates that end-to-end processing that you want to have behind the scenes. So it has very little human interaction. And I think that's where the winners will sort of excel. Those that are really able to sort of enable that sort of managed self-service through automated rule-based processes without the need for this constant human interaction or supervision. Embedding automation in that change journey. So when you are going through this with your teams, with your people, you're always thinking, or you're asking them to challenge themselves. Do I really need this? How can I adjust our processes for best-in-class, best-in-breed recommendations by my vendor and partners? And are you using the right combination of automation techniques across your broad agenda? So, for example, to increase customer satisfaction, reduce risk, increase compliance, improve business insights and agility, improve associate satisfaction. These are all different parties to consider in this, and you always want to make sure that you are addressing the needs of everyone, but you're also keeping your eye on building the absolute best process you can to drive that efficiency or drive that new capability that you seek. So as we will dive into group onboarding in a bit, from a financial institution perspective, let's think what customer pain points can be solved through process automation. And I think that, the banks are one of the most challenged in this area. And, I'm talking to the right room and the right audience, so you know what I mean. I'm not trying to be facetious or poke fun at anyone, but these are some of the pain points. Customers can't complete their business without some kind of human interaction. There's this general lack of straight-through processing, and that's frustrating for customers. We're also forced to wait, for extended periods of time, and there's very little transparency in that process. I've done car loans, I've done a mortgage recently, and the amount of things that keep coming back that I have to do, and they forgot, and it's frustrating, and asking me for another ID or my Digicel bill, proof of address. So that repeated data provision gets frustrating. And I have to tell you, it encourages switching. If there was a way to have ease of onboarding and lower that entry barrier, just like we went through in the telecom sector with number portability, you are going to enter a new realm of competition, right? So solving some of these issues are really important. And then, of course, high fees, which I think is related to the inefficiency, and that's how customers feel. Of course they're charging high fees, because I just went through 10 different people to get my mortgage through. Complex product lineups. Why, when I want my Credit Alive product, it's not suggested to me in a simple way. I just click a button. I don't want to have to talk to a Sagicor agent or Guardian because you farmed it out to them. That's frustrating. They ask for the same set of IDs and requirements. So, these are real pain points that haven't yet been solved locally. But there's huge opportunity there as well, and group onboarding, I think, is a very important factor if we talk about the corporate segment and multi-services.
I think one of the issues, so not making any excuses, but for conducting financial type transactions, there's still a lot of government regulations and requirements that has to be satisfied. So I think financial institutions, especially locally, need to be in step and have the requisite lobbying and canvassing of those government agencies that require legally for you to produce, the physical evidence for some of these transactions.
You know what customers think? Yeah, how convenient.
True. So not
how
disagreeing.
Convenient. So my fees, I continue to have to pay high fees. I'm not trying to, but I hear you. But those are pain points, real pain points, and how you choose to address those. I hope so. Yeah, that's great. Do you have a plan for that? If I ask you, do you have an API roadmap? Do you? Do you have an API library? Yeah. Good. Do you have a strategy to integrate with NIDS? So that's real. It's coming. I'm on the task force. So it's coming. And it will be powerful, but I bet that we will scratch the surface on NIDS for the next 5 years. Yeah, which is, again, unfortunate. That's a disconnect, that I talk about. So I won't go through, any more of these. I think you get it. There are still significant number of pain points, and still a lot of opportunity to look at what you're automating today and how you can step up with the times. Barring regulatory issues, those are things you gotta solve. And I tell you, don't wait for like a dollar financial to solve it for you, because they will. or some other fintech that comes into the market. So, finally, if you're not certain how to quantify the benefits of digital transformation or process automation, you can call us. We'll help you to do that. Or, there's really sort of tangible results that other financial institutions have been able to quantify in terms of growth through improved customer experiences, rapid product development, higher workforce productivity. There's also tangible results in terms of the type of cost savings they can generate through their process or operational efficiencies. There really is no barrier to driving your digital transformation. And this sort of wraps up my presentation today, from the EY Technology Consulting team. And I thank all of you for listening. I thank Newgen for inviting me to speak today. I think this is a really relevant topic, and I'm happy to address what I think is a sector primed to lead the way on showing Jamaica what digital transformation can do, particularly as it pertains to customer experiences and corporate experiences. So I think at this point, we will invite up Leanne and Nicola to join us on the panel, and we'll talk a little bit now more about their experiences with digital onboarding, which, as you would have done your research, is a very, again, critical aspect of that corporate customer experience or even consumer customer experience, and has relevant, tangible benefits for the banks today if they're able to crack this one. So, yeah, thank you very much. And I guess we can disconnect. Oh, sure, yeah. Sorry, I should have opened the floor for questions, time permitting. Yeah.
In your presentation, you highlight a number of sources. Are those available online, or that's just in your library?
I'm happy to share this. So that's one. So I can just have a pad going with names and email addresses. So happy to share it. I think there's really good data points there, yes. And the sources, many of them are available online. You just need to Google it. Yeah, all right. Or you can just take it right out of my presentation. It's fine. So we'll pull up the questions in a second. And I will be leading this section and line of questioning for these two young ladies, but I guess the first question that we could start with is to ask them to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about their own digital transformation journeys, where they are today in that, and sort of what's their priority focus going forward. So I'll start with you, Leanne.
Sure. All right, morning, everyone. Morning, everyone. Thank you. My name is Leanne Mcnaughton. I am the Digital Transformation and Innovation Manager at NCB under retail. Hi, Kevin, with me here today. What's the question? My background or my claim to fame, or?
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
And your digital transformation journey so
Okay.
far.
All right. So I've been in this capacity for 1 year now, and it has been an interesting journey in really understanding what it would look like and what it would take to be a digital bank, right? And what it would take, not just the lift and shift of whatever we did in the physical space, it will exist in the digital space, that doesn't work, right? So understanding what it would look like to really have transformation of our bank, right, of our financial institution, also the group, right? So this is beyond just the bank. And the capacity and role that I serve is, leading the group onboarding strategy that we have. So not just limited to the bank, but across the financial group. And what does that look like to have a great onboarding experience? Not just digitally, but across any channel that our customers will interact and engage with us. So that's the role that I play. It's like I said, we just started and we will get better. Hopefully everybody in here has an NCB account, right? And so you will incrementally see those improvements over time, because it's not just a one and done, right? We are agile by nature, and so we will over time be incrementally improving the way that the customers interact and engage with our customers. So I hope that's a... Okay. Oh, great.
Good morning, everyone. Name is Nicola Anderson. Name is Nicola Anderson. I'm the Group Chief Operations Officer for the VM Group. Now, VM is 140 years old, at least more than that. So we are all about transformation. We don't stick around that long for and not transforming. So we know what it is to transform. And with the pandemic, we have also heightened. We've always been on a journey to digital transformation, but in the last 2 to 3 years, I think we have become more aggressive at it. And those who work and also work with VM and also interact with us in terms of our customers and clients will also see that transformation and feel it, at least I hope by this time. My background, I am ex-PwC. I've been with PwC. I was with PwC for 20 years, and I'm also formerly with FinTech, 10X, and so. So in terms of digital transformation, IT, that is me.
Yeah. So maybe you can hang on to that. And I'll just,
Okay.
yeah, I'll just, so the,
Don't charge the fees, yeah.
so the first question we have is focused on group onboarding. So the first question we have is, what does that mean to you? And what problem is it going to solve? Or does it solve for your organization?
So for me, I like to look at anything I'm doing from a customer perspective. I start from there first. So for my customers, they don't make money sitting in the branches, opening an account for 45 minutes, right? You don't make money that way. I need for you to be at home, at work, at play, do what you need to do. And group online onboarding allows for that. It allows for that increased convenience, that immediacy, and just being able to do what you need to do quickly. I say immediate gratification. Yeah, 10, 15 minutes and you're out.
Everything Nicola said, but to add to that, right, for group onboarding for us, like we said, customer-centric, right? We really need to shift the focus from business first to what is the customer pain point? What are we doing for the customer journey end to end? Right, solving it end to end. And then the second big part of group onboarding and doing it right is having a data-driven approach, right? So the next time Justin comes and opens up a different product, him not submitting every single piece of information all over again. Didn't I just do it 2 weeks ago? Didn't I just do it a month ago? Right? So data-driven approach in terms of leveraging the data, obviously considering the data privacy and the consent across the groups, doing those things properly, but leveraging the data that we already have on the customer so it is a seamless experience. What external data sources that we could potentially tap into to be able to leverage to have that seamless onboarding experience as well, right? So internal data points, external data points, focus on the customer journey end to end, even the pre-journey, just information about what product or service is right for me. Why is it so, moving from the customer trying to figure it out for it being very easy for the customer to understand what it is that they want and making it easier for it to be a yes, then let me apply, right? Or yes, let me apply and I can start the process here and then let me finish at a different time and I'm not starting all over again. So it's seamless. It is convenient and it is pervasive, meaning that at any point in time I can continue or end the process. And then ideally, it's straight through, right? So when I think about onboarding across the group, you first have to think about the customer. You second have to think about the data that you can leverage for it to be easy. And the third part is the process of it all and making that as seamless as possible.
I just want to add also, while we focus a lot on the customer aspect of it, the idea of self-service also have a benefit for the organization in terms of operational cost savings. It means that if I'm pushing requests for application and information to the customer, you're doing that, and you're taking that 15 minutes to put in that information. It means that the customer service representatives that I had that you'd have sat in before for 45, 15 minutes can be doing other value-added activities so that we can create more revenue and give you better interest and reduce those IFEs.
But, I mean, let's stay on that point a bit. And sorry, I need to use a mic. Sorry, so let's stay on that point a little bit. And, you know, this is where we get to the talk the truth moment. You know, how challenging is it for you right now to manage group onboarding internally? Like, you know, what impact does that have on your organization today that you think you're trying to solve?
Right. So, sorry. So the VM Group, as you understand, is a multifaceted organization. So we are in pension, we are in wealth, money transfer, and how we started out was where we had, you needed an application, an account, you had to be opening at all these different locations. So you can just imagine that we have dispersed database with information, and the same issue of you coming in as a customer and requesting the same information over. We were looking to solve one of the key, well, I have a lot of issues that I need to solve with group online onboarding and what I want to drive, but at the end of the day is to get at a common database that harness all of the customer information. The minute you sign up once, that information, those products and services, you easily able to port, with consent of course, the information being made available to the other entities within the group. So that is one of the major issues. It also leads back to the need to have quality data and standardized data across the group, because as you understand, when you have dispersed system, you have dispersed data structures, and we are preparing now for all these open concept, open banking, open financing, and that will also help us to be able to port the data once they're in standard formats.
So I would say that one is a big challenge, and the second biggest challenge for us is actually our processes, right? You can't use the same processes that we had in the physical space and expect it to work in the digital space. It's not going to work, because the same pain points and the same long processing time that you have in the physical space, you cannot just put it in the digital, right? It will even be more painful. So the second biggest challenge that we're experiencing is improving our processes and ability to improve our processes and the pace at which we can improve our processes and the intentionality and the push going to improve each process, each policy, all of these things. You can't do it all at the same time. So how can we just, with improving this process or challenging this policy, and then obviously policy is different from regulations, right? So regulation is regulation. We can't change that quite yet. But internal processes and policies, how can we push the envelope in improving our onboarding experience by improving our processes?
Great. Excellent answers. By the way, if anyone has a question, okay. Sorry. Good morning.
Within the financial service industry. Justin asked made a very good point that I'm going to ask either of you ladies to answer related to your API database or library, or how do you use or incorporate the API technologies to prevent customers having to provide the same information, my date of birth, my proof of address, my TRN. How are you using API technologies to improve the customer's experience in providing the same information within your groups or across the industry?
Yeah, I can start it, yeah. So what we have been doing with at VM is currently in the phase of building out our API library. We do have APIs that connect our core systems to secondary solutions, but we are also working currently with NIDS, actually the sponsor on that program on behalf of the VM group, and looking at connecting to them in terms of APIs as well. So what we're looking at is, as I said, making sure that we have a low-touch environment. There's not many hands on deck. It's all automated and streamed straight to processing, and then using the API where they are available. There are instances where we would want to connect to other third parties in terms of their systems, whether it be to the land agency for mortgages and so forth, and they are not yet there. So we have to also be mindful of the environment that we are in. So we have to schedule as needed. But it's a part of the wider plan in terms of, as I said, the low touch, making sure everything is integrated and the data is able to pass through.
And Nicola, you answered it in your previous and then just in his presentation, is one, we need the data to be centralized or in a place that the APIs can access, right? And two, one of the things that we're looking into is having more microservice layers, so not dependent on our core systems and everything being on-premise. And all of those things are prerequisites in our ability to have an API service and API layers, right? So decoupling our solutions, decoupling our software, moving from on-premise to the cloud, all of these things are also key in our ability to have a robust API service. I hope that helps.
Sure. Clinton Hunter from Sagicor Bank. McNaughton mentioned earlier about leveraging the data across the enterprise. Do you foresee any legislative or regulatory challenges accessing the data? Because as a conglomerate, you have different regulators. You have the FSC, you have the DOJ, and so on. Do you foresee any issues there?
Some tough questions.
First and foremost, we have to ensure that the customer gives consent, right? So if the customer doesn't give consent, everything is for naught, right? So first, we have to ensure that the customer gives consent for data sharing across the group. We do already have that consent in place. So it's just for the customer to do it. That's step one. And then the second part is, one of the things that we're looking at or faced with in our group onboarding experience is ensuring that we're adhering to each of the different regulatory bodies, right? Because I could be compliant in, this subsidiary, but I'm not compliant in that subsidiary. So obviously you should not automatically or make it easy for you to open up that additional product if I'm not compliant across the board. So we have to, one, ensure that we give consent, and two, ensure that we are still adhering to each of the regulatory bodies to be able to do this seamlessly across the board.
And may I just add that for Jamaica, the Data Policy and Privacy Act was just recently, maybe about 2 years ago past?
Since December.
Since December, right. So you realize that even the regulators realize that what we had before needed to be strengthened. A lot of organizations, including VM itself, has started putting together the data governance and management framework to support that as well. So we are trying to be as much on the cutting edge as the legislation comes out, and different guidance to make sure that we are compliant.
Yeah, that was a great question. Any other questions? No, so I have one, which is related to preparing yourself for open banking. So do you think digital onboarding solutions can help to prepare you for open banking?
So open bank, anything open, here, open finance, open banking. Once you hear the word open, it just means your ability to share data. and your ability to share data, if it's in banking, payment information, customer information, open finance. We talk about sharing your mortgage loans and the status of it for credit purposes. What that means for the sharing of data, going back to the API, you have to have that data, in quality data, structured data, standardized for easy to and ready to share. So it goes back to the data governance structure being in place, the APIs to connect, the rule for privacy and protection, what can be shared, what can be stored, all that coming together. I think for the group online onboarding project, for us, it's one of the key drivers, trying to get that useful quality data about our customers, about what their interest is in, and having that ready for porting. So that is for us like the base, and then we'll build from there. So definitely for group online onboarding, having all of our customers across the VM group, knowing exactly what products and services we are able to upsell, cross-sell, and just understand your lifestyle and put forward products and services that make sense to you.
May I ask a question, Justin? All right. I can see the challenge with the individual FIs achieving some of these changes that are needed. Do you think you can achieve it through the collaboration of the Jamaica Bankers Association? So if you all drive for these are the changes in the legislation that are needed to make us first world financial service providers through the JBA, drive some of these initiatives.
Right, so a part of the group online onboarding project that VM has embarked on is also we have combined it with the relationship we are having with NIDS. And as part, I think the Jamaica Bankers Association, we met with the NIDS maybe about 2-3 weeks ago, looking at how we, as part of the financial environment, can help to foster the use of a common ID, and therefore eliminating the use of all these, multiple IDs, multiple data points, multiple validation points, that whole complexity. So we are on the way towards it. Definitely the relationship is already there in terms of the Bankers Association, as I said, and we have given our commitment to supporting those initiatives and anything else that allows for the sharing of information, whether it be the establishment of a KYC consortium that allows the data to be passed efficiently between FIs.
Okay, sure.
So we're talking about digital transformation and onboarding, but we can't look at it in isolation of the whole matter of the digital divide. How are you handling that aspect of it from your institution perspective?
Great question.
How are we handling it from the digital divide perspective with an omni-channel approach? So, it's not just so much about the web or the mobile, but one of my team members says banking is not somewhere you go, it's something you do, right? And so when we're thinking about onboarding and the digital divide, if I do come to in the branch, it's a great experience and it's a seamless experience. If I do go on the web, if I do on the mobile, if I go to the ABM, if we get to there, should have this great and consistent onboarding experience no matter the channel that I engage the financial institution with.
Well, for the digital divide, right. So when we look at any transformation, we tend to look at it, well, there's an acronym that we use, we call it PTOF. We look at the process, the technology, the organization structure, and the facilities. And that allows us to do a holistic view. So when we plan, we don't plan just, this is a new technology. We look at the people, the organization structure, the physical facilities, and that allows us to plan. To deal with it, yes, in terms of the multi-channel aspect of it, but it's also trying to embed in it the people and the human experience aspect to it. So it's enough to put the channel on and it's available, but there are certain things that we play with in terms of those the psychology of colors, the psychology of words that you use, the steps and the design of the process. So there's a whole lot of things that we take into consideration when we are designing for people. So I'm hoping that answers the question. Yeah.
Great question. Any others? No? So I have one more, which is sort of like a challenge. You know, if you think about internally, the amount of paper processes you have and paper that's pushed around, how aggressive are you? How important it is for you to go paperless? And what role do you see an application like a low-code application giving you that flexibility to change some of those processes internally?
To go paperless, there are so many benefits to that. Saving time, you have to print, right? Save time, you save money. It boosts security because you have it digitally. It's not something that someone can pick up. It also promotes ease of transfer. It's easy for you to move digital data than to move paper. So the benefit of going promotes the environment, stop killing trees. So there's so many benefits to going paperless. In terms of a low-code environment, for group online onboarding, that whole paperless factor comes in. What we're doing now is we're looking at ID captures where we take the digital form of the IDs, we're pulling off the data set from it so you don't have to key enter it. So you scan your ID and immediately your name, address, and telephone number, not name, address, and whatever data form it is cast on. We're also doing liveness checks, video KYC, so the minute you go online to onboard, you see a camera. Because when you're physically in front of a CSR being onboarded, they're looking at you. They're looking at your ID. Does this face look like that? And so we will replicate a lot of those activities that the systems are now doing. Because this photo of this person that is interacting with the application match this ID that was uploaded and that I've scanned the data on. So yes, the paperless journey, very important, being able to have everything digital, and at the end of the day, as I said, saving time, cost, and money, and promoting the environment is the way to go.
Can I add to that? Yeah, so paperless for us, I'll answer in two parts. Yes, we are pushing for it. We're super aggressive on the paperless journey. For one, it's just the need for wet signatures is kind of just, we're past that point, right? But it's so, we have to come in just because you need the wet signature, right? And so we're really pushing for, can we do digital signatures across the board? So we can't eliminate paper unless we eliminate that policy or that rule of wet signatures. So that's the first thing that we're pushing for, to be able to have that end-to-end digital journey and fully paperless journey, right? And then the second one, the reason why we need to go paperless and the importance of paperless is, you know, the difference between digitizing something and digitalizing something, right? Where, you know, we have this painful process of we have all of this paper that we've collected on the information that we collect on the customers, and we digitized it and call it a success. But we can't use the data points because it's just a photocopy, right? We can't consume the data, we can't learn about the customer data, we can't do anything because we photocopied a piece of paper, and all we have to do is go look in wherever we stored it, and then maybe can read the person's handwriting. Right? And so when you think about the paperless journey, that's another huge benefit. The data in the paper application, we can't consume it and use it for anything. So that's also why we need to go paperless, to be able to consume the data and manipulate the data that we once collected in the physical space.
And the reduction of storage costs, which you just mentioned, yeah.
Well, thank you for those comments. Those are, it's refreshing to hear that. I still had to do the wet signature recently. So hopefully we could cross that barrier at some point. I would say the last question here is, you know, when you think about all the multiple services you each have within your business unit or across subsidiaries, you know, what's your take? What's the importance for you of including multiple services in your service offering in that onboarding process? how is that a key aspect of your strategy?
Yes, it is, because like we said in the beginning, group onboarding is starting with the customer first, not the business line, not the subsidiary, right? So me as a customer, if I want a bank account, I go to NCBJ. If I want to go to an investment account, I go to Cap Market. If I want to, most of the time, the customer just sees NCB, right? They don't see all of these subsidiaries. If I want a credit card, I have to go to here. They don't care. They just want the product or service, right? So it is an imperative for us, because we are starting with the customer journey first and solving along those lines. Like I said, ensuring that consent and data sharing and all of those things underneath we solve for. So when you are doing it, it is seamless for you across the group. And when you are thinking about, you as a customer are thinking about your financial needs and your financial goals and what you're trying to do, we have that suite of products and services available for you across the group. So aren't we presenting it to you as such? Because you are the one customer, and we need to solve your pain points that way. So it is an imperative for us to be able to provide those suite of products and services across the group in a seamless, compliant, legally, data, all of those things behind the scenes way.
Yeah, all right. So on the group online onboarding, the main reason any customer is onboarding in the first place is for a product and service. And what we look for in a solution is something that allows for rule base and the ability to set up certain rules. So based on the nature of the products that you're signing up for, you may not, as a public, you're signing up for a credit card or a savings account, but there are certain rules in the background that based on what you selected as a product, there are certain questions that you answer, there are certain things that are mandatory or not mandatory, and so having a very good onboarding solution that allows for those kind of rule-based programming is also key in terms of just asking the right amount of question at the right time that is needed for the products and service that we offer.
I like what I hear. So look forward to moving away from this siloed approach and being able to get multiple products through just one window, one service. That would be great. Yeah, from a customer, I can tell you I would appreciate that a lot. I think we have time for just one more, and it really is related to onboarding practices can sort of change as you evolve, and maybe there are new regulations that come out that require you to minimize the amount of data you're capturing. Let's say data privacy, for example. And so how important it is for you that you have a platform that's adaptable, configurable, you can change it to meet new customer expectations, to meet new regulatory compliance requirements, or any other sort of changes that new services or so on that need to be added.
How important? Very important. But coming from a tech background, when we build solutions, it needs to be configurable, it needs to be scalable, right? It needs to be modular, doing all of these things. So our ability to, we need to see ourselves not as a bank, but how are we leveraging the technology or a tech company that provides financial services, right? And in doing so, how are we building our solutions that can adapt, that can adjust? There's this quote in the digital transformation, I think it's digital transformation or agile world or digital world. It's no longer about the big fish that eats the small fish. It's about the fast fish that eats the slow fish, right? And these key things of configurability and scalability, to facilitate scalability and facilitate agility are necessary if we want to stay relevant in this world, because I have no intention of being a Nokia, right? So we have to do these key things for our ability to adjust across the subsidiaries and for respond to the market as well.
So as a former programmer, So I'm pretty old school. I was programming in COBOL assembly, RPG. Now they have Visual Force Pro where you drag and drop. I wrote code. So now being in a low-code environment, what is very exciting because you allow yourself to move faster. Right now we're talking about agility. The time it takes to spring up a new software or a new module or a new function is very critical. For us at VM in 2020 with the start of the pandemic, it really forced us to relook at some of our core systems and were they able to move as fast. We have encountered a situation where we wanted to do something, and when we reach out to the vendor, like, oh no, you need to go and buy this new platform or change something else. So with group online onboarding and with the entry of needs coming in, with the entry of the removal of web signatures in terms of digital signatures, and just the need to share data and about our customers, we need things that allow us to move fast. And the low code, quick agility, quick rollout. At VM, we have a quarterly schedule, so we do quarterly rollouts, and we're looking forward to solutions that allows us to do that.
Yeah, great. No, I think that's very relevant for, again, that agility that's needed for today. And it's also refreshing to hear that you're already thinking in that direction. I guess I just wanted to check, are there any other questions from the audience before we wrap up? No? I want to thank the both of you for taking time out to join us today in what was a really interesting conversation. I really enjoyed that. Again, I'm an optimist, and it's great to see that there are folks out there pushing the envelope in terms of improving the customer experience, that they are trying to solve some of the pain points that we sort of suffer through as customers, and I put myself in those shoes, and really look forward to seeing some of these great improvements come out from both VMVS and NCV, and hopefully the others will follow suit.
I just have one correction. So earlier today, you started out by saying there was no company with an online platform.
To clarify that too.
So
With full
so
online,
you go.
yes.
VM recently launched Onboarding Lite. We call it Lite because right now it onboards individuals. We are now building out the platform to do corporates, companies. Companies are a little bit more complex, multiple directors and so forth. We have the digital signature, your liveness check, everything that is there, so you may want to check it out.
Nice. Good plug. All right. Great.
Thank you.
So thank you both so much. You gave a lot to us today, and we really appreciate that. And look forward to connecting some more. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Okay, so I have the pleasure of introducing the next speaker from Newgen. Andraj has joined us. So we welcome Andraj from Newgen to talk a little bit more about their digital onboarding platform.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you so much. And it's your laptop, I guess.
should normally just. I think one is your charger, and one is.
That's for the digital fix. We always used to say when there is this software solution demonstration, at some point in time, you are expecting the hiccups, the technology hiccups, and what technology has to bring in. Perfect. We are back online. Everybody able to hear me fine? Okay. Is it okay? Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. So I'm the only one keeping you away from your lunch, so I'll not take too much time. It has been an engaging and enlightening sessions. Both Justin spoke initially on digital transformation, and the two wonderful ladies that shared their experiences around group onboarding, digitalizing versus digitizing, digital divide, and there are several of those things that we heard. What I will do here is quickly, I will try to show you how Newgen as a technology solution provider to both VM Group and NCB and across financial services, what are we bringing from the low-code platform, from the content services platform, what we call Newgen One, what we are bringing to help you progress on that digital journey of making the group onboarding online, seamless, the API libraries, things that we talked about, the connects that we talked about, Justin's continuous struggle of wet signature, multiple IDs, multiple follow-ups from the financial services organization, how we are looking at resolving all of those for you guys, for you guys to in turn transform the customer experience that you want to do for your customers. A quick sneak peek about us. So we are headquartered for the Americas in the US, and globally we are, the screen keeps going. Okay, and globally we are available in multiple geographies, including India, APAC, Europe, Middle East, everywhere. A couple of key points that I wanted to highlight here are, one, the analyst recognitions of our platform, likes of Gartner, Forrester, Aspire, those leaderboards, and we have been featuring, this entire platform has been featuring consistently since last 14 years. What really it means for you is, here is a platform which has been contemporary year after year, keeping up with the pace of technology, keeping up with the pace of your customers' demand, of your organization's requirement, what you need to do in order to continuously progress on that digital journey. A quick, I thought that we talked about group onboarding. How does it really look? If we see, how do we visualize any group onboarding when we look at customer? And we heard in the panel that it starts with the customer. Customer does not see subsidiaries. We heard Leanne saying that customer sees NCVJ, one, and does not see the capital market or the insurance or credit card or savings. And same thing with Nicola shared multiples of the subsidiaries which are there in VM group. So how does it look like? Customer comes in, starts a deposit relation, few months down the line, needs a credit card, comes in, starts a credit card application, or needs a policy, comes in, starts investment policy. How generally the groups are looking at such customer? If you see all of those crisscross going all the way from A to H, depending on how many relationship a customer is having, those relationship, those data, and those informations are locally stored in that specific subsidiary and the core systems and other systems which are running those subsidiaries. And I'm going to take it to the point that we heard from our ladies about data, about sharing, about one golden record across the subsidiaries. So essentially, this is complex. The partial data in disjointed systems across your group units are giving you those frictions. It is essentially creating the frictions, forcing you to ask the same question, same ID, same information time and again. So you are not having a single view of that entire client profile. Some data are existing in one system while the others are existing other. If you are not able to share, you are not getting that single view. The validations and checks, again, are being done on a piecemeal basis, depending on as and when the customer is approaching that product and when that checks are required for that specific due diligence. And in the end, you are not able to do an effective cross-sell. You are not able to offer required and appropriate eligible products and services to your customers. So when we looked at this landscape, the lay of the land of the group, and how this in onboarding, how to make it online, how to make it digital, we looked at few aspects of the group onboarding. It starts with obviously omni-channel initiation. We heard in the previous two sessions about being able to do it online, mobile, in-person, walk-in, being able to talk to somebody in call center, and how can we provide a seamless and standardized and same digital experience irrespective of the medium or channel. If a customer is walking into a branch and looking into the eyes of a CSS, customer service officer, and trying to establish a product or a service versus going to an online website, maybe through a mobile while returning back from the work, and then not able to complete, save, exit, reach home, eat your dinner, you still have time, go back to your laptop, your computer. Are you able to resume from where you left on mobile? So across the devices, all of those channels and mediums, are you able to support that? And are you able to provide experience for the existing customers and new customers appropriately, which means if I'm an existing customer, and if the group already has, let's say, my driver's ID or my passport or my proof of address in one of the relation, and I'm trying to open another one, am I able to leverage that? Am I able to bring all of those together and not ask again? Of course, consent, we heard about taking consent and customer being able to provide the consent. If that doesn't happen, obviously it is a non-starter. But after taking the consent, can we assimilate those data, content, document, IDs, the due diligence that was done 6 months back for another product? Am I able to leverage that in my current offering that we are doing? And then going into the product selection. So customer, again, not seeing a different subsidiaries at different companies, they see the entire group as one company. So whether the customer needs policy, wants an investment, mortgage, auto loan, deposit, credit card, irrespective of what the customer's need is, can there be a simplified data collection, document collection interface presented to the user, again, across the channels, and then give the user a Amazon or a Apple or those kind of shopping cart experience. Provide all of those which are eligible, which you think, we heard about rules, based on rules, what you can do, based on data, what you can do. Are you able to provide all of those as a shopping cart experience? Those reflexive forms, which present only those data to be collected which are required for the product selected, and not a superset, irrespective of what product you are asking, you are always collecting those 50 data fields. No. If I'm only taking a policy and an investment, then I don't need to do my credit scoring or credit check and those kind of things, so I don't need to collect those data. So is my system reflexive enough to change dynamically what is required to be collected? And same goes for document, creating the checklist of the documents which are required from the customer. We talked about paperless. Can the customer upload those, take picture, send it to us, and is the system able to extract those data? Let's say a driver's license is uploaded, or a passport is uploaded, or a utility bill is uploaded. Is the system able to do intelligent data reading, extraction, OCR, all of those RPAs, and make that paper or the image or the photo in a consumable data? Leanne talked about it. The papers lying in a physical folder are not data which we can use. Can we convert those paper and digitizing and digitalizing, there is a big difference. Digitizing is just taking a picture of a paper and it becomes a photograph, an image in your system. That is not digital. When the information from that page, from that photo, from that image comes to your system, and you are able to apply your analytics, your artificial intelligence, your machine learning, that's when it starts the digital journey. That's when it gives you that digital outlook. So the ID verification, ID authentication, all the compliances, all the checks, and again, depending on the products, there may be different regulatory requirements for a deposit product versus an investment product versus a insurance policy product. There may be different requirements. And then based on, again, the previous shopping cart experience, are we able to take all of those in one single seamless experience? And to take it to the next level, let's say a customer already has a couple of relationship with the group. Let's say there was a deposit account or there was a mortgage. While the customer is applying to open a new investment account, am I able to go back and check whether the minimum balance and those kind of things in the deposit account is all okay, is all fine? Or while I am engaging with the customer, can I also let customer know that, by the way, your deposit account has these two feedbacks, and we are processing your insurance and investment account. I just wanted to let you know that this is where, or maybe the deposit account itself has become dormant. And you want the customer to know that while we are doing this, why don't we just activate your account also? And or if there is any other due diligence, like a driver's license which was collected has been expired, you are able to check that and see that, okay, your driver's license is expired, so we need to update that for your deposit also while we are collecting it for insurance. That kind of a seamless experience, giving that holistic, customer feels happy and good about it. They think that, yes, here is someone who knows me, who understands what I already hold relationship with you. If, let's say, I'm an existing customer and I called 3 months back for one of the complaint which got resolved, open, outstanding, when I'm dealing with the customer now, am I able to tell the customer, by the way, your complaint which you called 3 months back, here is the status, I hope you have been communicated about it. Customer again feels good about it. They think that, yes, somebody is able to relate with us. Disclosures and funding, not the wet signature. Can we avoid the wet signature, the electronic signatures, e-signs? There are several disclosures which are required as part of your regulations, as part of statutory guidelines, as part of your internal policies, audits, and those things. Consent. Can we all do that with e-sign? If we are in branch, can we not print and instead present a signature pad for signing? You go to a rental car center, you see everything, 10 signatures, but everything is on a pad. They don't give you paper. You just keep on taking and signing. Is that experience possible to be extended when the customer is in branch? And then take it to the online, mobile, web. And finally, when it comes to account opening, after collecting all of these things, if I have to open 5 accounts in 5 different subsidiaries, without, again, creating friction with the customer, in the background, I'm opening it, everything. And in one single welcome kit, if I go back to the customer saying, here is your deposit, your insurance, your mortgage, your auto, or whatever it is, am I able to do that? So all the group business units, this is just, again, an indication in the below. Please feel free to stop me for any question while I'm doing this. So if you look at, if you recall the previous diagram, and if you have to go into an ideal world, how you can simplify your entire group onboarding model, probably this will look like this. Your customer may have 1, 2, or few relationship, but you have one golden record of data for that customer. And then you know that, and this golden record of data is allowing you that 360-degree view of the customer, which allows you to get that intelligent profiling of the customer to able to go back. If, let's say, the customer, during one of the product, if you collected few of the goals of the customer, let's say customer wants to pay off the mortgage in next 5 years, or has a child going into school or college in few years, or there is a time and there may be a money required for that, or there is an insurance policy which is coming up for maturity. How can you relate all of these in one single view and then do some intelligent profiling of that? If you have to go and ask certain questions, can we reach out to the customer irrespective of, not irrespective, but not waiting for the customer to come back to come to us to apply for a new product or services? Can we proactively go back to the customer saying that, hey, by the way, we saw that you had these goals in your mind, and we just wanted to ask you a couple of questions so that we can suggest how it can help you meet your financial goals. So those kind of things. Sharing the data across subsidiaries, collating the data from those subsidiaries into one. It would be very hard for all the subsidiaries to come to one core application or one single system. That may be hard to achieve, but if we are able to share across, and that's where the API, the library, all of those things come in, which is part of the NewgenOne platform that we are saying. So whether you are having a core banking system or insurance policy admin system or investment management system or a loan origination system, loan review system, all of those places, or online profile. The customer, when opens a deposit account, goes into online banking, creates another profile. So you have a set of data in your core banking, you have another set of data in the online banking system. Combine those two, but then also go out to reach out to other subsidiaries, combine all of that and leverage that. So if you really see a little bit deep into what Newgen One includes, right? We talked about low code. We talked about content management or content services platform. What really is low code? How does low code? It's a digital word or a digital phrase, low code. But what really does it mean for you as a financial organization? Few things. Number one, workflow designer. What do you do with the workflow designer? You create your products, you create your workflows, you create your delegation authority metrics and all of those. You internally will have different structures for different types of processes. The ops or operations or sales, all of those for deposit, for insurance, or for investment may be structured slightly different or vastly different within your organization, how you are structured. The workflow designer is going to help you design those specific workflows and still keep that standardized, that quality, and that seamless experience intact. How? That comes to the next pillar, which is the experience builder. When you are looking at your customer from the lens of, let's say, a policy, from the lens of investment, from the lens of capital market, or all of those different lenses which are coming from your different subsidiaries, what is the kind of page on a website or on a mobile, or when a customer is in branch, what is the kind of data that you want to collect, you want to share with the customer? Goes back to my previous comment about reflexive data for the only selected products, reflexive checklist of the document, reflexive due diligence, compliances, all of those things comes as part of the experience builder. Rules engine, it plays a big role. Existing versus new customer, individual versus business, compliances from one business to the another business. The rules play a major role in determining all of those experiences that are being rendered to the customer in whatever medium or channel that we are checking with that, engaging with the customer. Business dashboards. So that all of those data which have been collected, which have been shared, which have been collated, how do you see internally? Ultimately, there are cutting-edge technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, which will work across these data repositories, which will bring all of those things, but it must be able to be presented for your decision makers, for your managers who are taking those knowledgeable decisions on the data which are presented by such systems. So the business dashboards comes into that. Content management helps you achieve that paperless or near paperless goal. And content does not always have to be a physical paper. Content is an email. Content is, let's say, a video KYC. More and more emerging markets, we are seeing globally that customers do not have to come to the branch for that physical know your customer activities. Customer can start a video, and there is a video KYC kind of thing that you do. So that becomes a content. It's a video, but it's a content. Customer is talking to someone in your contact center. That's an audio recording, but that is a content. So all of those are included into the content services platform that we are seeing here. And then not only that, months from now, years from now, if the customer is again engaged in whatever medium, and one of the previous content, and insurance probably is one of the great example here, especially life insurance. The policy lives for a life of 20, 25, 30, 35 years. You are engaging with the customer over a life of 35 years, hundreds of times, hundreds of contents collected, archived. Are you able to go back into that, go back in time, do that intelligent taxonomy, extract that intelligence from the content using technology like AI and ML, and then present in the context of the current engagement that you are having with the customer. If customer took a decision about certain rider on a policy 5 years back, and today customer is trying to change something, does it require repeat underwriting? Does it require counter offer? Or does it require customer to be reminded that, look, you opted for this rider 5 years back with certain goals, and now you are trying to change. So that content in this context, can it be presented, or the user will have to go into the history, check whether there was anything which is relevant while the customer is waiting, and then trying to fish out what is required. So that's the content services and the role of content that we are talking here. AI, ML, and historical data. Sure.
One of the things that I wanted to highlight why we actually went with Newgen is really because of, one, the flexibility is low code, so easy to spring up new modules and functions. The ability for the rule-based engine, as I said, to the customer, you're just seeing products. And you select a product or a combination of products, but there's a lot of rules in terms of the data and the questions that springs up and where it is, and where it is rooted. But it's also a case where in the future, in terms of the AI and the ML machine learning, where you have the ability to cross-sell, also looking at the data and the relation that we have with the customer to promote stuff like our loyalty points. You're with us for a certain period, we are able to pull those data. So for me, the group online onboarding, as I said before, is the nucleus. It's like that ground base that I need to establish for all the other products and digital services that VM is looking to push out.
Absolutely, and we are so excited to be a partner in your digital journey to achieve this thing, because we understand the complexity and the challenges that any group like yours will have. And we are so excited to be, to contribute in your journey to achieve what you want to achieve. And then the low code does not just stop with your first go live. Obviously, with your vision and with the platform, there will be a continuous improvement iteration as we move ahead. The AI ML has just come into last few years. Prior to that, robotic process automation came in, bots came in. Prior to that, we used to call it intelligent business process management system, and so on and so forth. That history goes. What it tells you is this is how the future will go in years to come. And we are now not in a world where we want an ideal solution. We are in a world where we want an adaptive and adjusting and flexible and agile solution. And that's what really the low code means. That's the promise of low code. Another view of how generally, I mean, the cross-selling, the data is scattered across different business units, different systems. How are we looking at that to extract that intelligent profiling and information to be able to do the cross-sell for all the different products? So your product data, your account usage data, your demographic, psychographic, if there are profiling questions that you are reaching out to the customer surveys and those kind of things, if you are capturing those financial goals as and when the customer is getting onboarded, combining all of these data on AI, employing AI. Typically AI, we are suggesting cloud, but it is also available on-prem if you want to do it. The reason for cloud is to be able to leverage several of cloud technologies which can be adjacent to the AI, whether it is Azure or Amazon or any other cloud provider. That helps you. We heard about being configurable and being scalable. That comes with the cloud when we do that. And then in the end, what you are able to do is recommendations about the products, the campaigns on the cross-selling, individual campaigns, and it may not be a mass mailing for your entire customer set. The idea here is individual and personalized campaign for a customer's needs specifically, including certain personal information. If it's a if the customer's birthday falls in this month and you are sending out an email, can the email start with "Happy birthday"? Here is an offer for you for this month, something like that. The customer feels good about it. Forecasting on your internal profitability and counter offers for customers' requirements. So a quick overview again, relating on to the previous slide. I'm not going to spend much on this. omni-channel, frictionless, due diligence, funding, submission, account opening. And it is not only for one type of account. If you see in the bottom, from savings to credit cards to mortgage, auto, investment, insurance, annuities, investment, different types of products, but this is a seamless one digital journey for the customer. We give all the channels. We collect, if it is an existing customer, we only collect what we don't have. If it is a new customer, we collect minimum set of documents and data to be able to extract everything and then share it with all our systems. Again, the API library and those things will come in picture. Do the due diligence for all the required ones only and not always go ahead with the superset of these 10 due diligence we will always do. Do not take that approach. Funding is one of the most friction-inducing experience we have seen in different financial institutions. ACH, check, waiting for those to be cleared before even your account is opened. Can you move to maybe an online funding? Credit card, debit card, payment gateways, Yardleys, Plaids. There are so many new fintech companies who are coming and giving those features. Submission and then account opening. Few snapshots I included before I conclude, and these are just indicative snapshots. And one of the key thing here is whenever any experience that you are building for your customer, always keep in mind how does it look on mobile, how does it look on tablet, how does it look on laptop, considering the real estate that a customer has. In that real estate of the screen, is it easily readable and actionable from the customer? Product selection. The experience builder is all about dragging and dropping. This is just one indicative screens that I thought that just to give that visual picture to you guys. But how the font will look like, background, color, it will always match the branding guidelines of how your corporate website looks, how your corporate mobile apps look. Shopping cart experience or product selection, compliances, whether you, and you can provide all of those. If customer wants to download those as a PDF, allow that. If customer wants to save it online in their online account or vault, allow that. Electronic signature, all of those things. Pre-filling the data for your existing customers. Whether it is existing in banking, insurance, investment, wherever it is existing, bring those, show it to the customer. Customer also feels good, oh yeah, I had provided that information for my insurance policy. Oh, great, we can use it for my investment account that I'm trying to open now. Product-specific data and document collection. We talked about reflexive forms, reflexive set of data, reflexive set of documents, due diligence, rules playing bigger and bigger role in what you want from the customer. Based on certain product, based on certain customer profile, what document is required, based on certain compliances and regulatory requirements, what additional documents are required. If customer needs help, customer is on, let's say, website or on mobile and is not able to figure out what is the next step, are you able to do a chat bot or a video assisted help to the customer? Can you see what customer is seeing on a web page? And then if you go to an Apple support, you engage with an Apple support executive, Apple support sees the screen what you are seeing and then tells you that you see that icon on the left bottom corner of the screen in purple color or in black color. Can you click on that? Are you able to take your customer through that kind of a seamless journey and not, and at the time and place of customer's preference? If I am trying to open now, I need the help now. I don't want to send a request that I need a help and then wait for my financial services organization to come back saying that, okay, your schedule is tomorrow 12 p.m. in the afternoon, we will help you. No, I want to do it now. And then taking it to the back office. A great customer experience starts with your internal great employee experience. How good, ergonomic, and excellent is your internal employee engagement systems, the systems in which your employees are working, the screens that your operations people are looking at, keyboard, mouse, and all of that. How great is that? You have to look into your internal employee experience, which has a greater impact on ultimately what they deliver to your customers. A view on what the customer submits, and again, your internal, again, this is part of the experience builder. So your internal UIs, UX, all of those can be persona based. If I'm a credit analyst, or if I'm a relationship manager, or if I'm making, approving deviations and exceptions, how do I want to see my data? How much data do I need? How many documents do I have to review? So persona-based interfaces, some indicative dashboards. There should not be any limit on the types of dashboard that you are required, because your day-to-day operations managers need versus your executives need versus your strategy departments need, all of those needs are different. The set of data is same, but how those data are derived and presented in different contexts and different ways are so much different. My concluding slide, why Newgen? 6 factors. The first one, near to ready-made template. Why we say so? We have done separately account opening, individually credit card automation, individually loan origination, individually auto, mortgage, insurance, investment. We have done, and several times we have done. From your group organization, the way you are looking at collating and assimilating different subsidiaries to provide it to one as a one customer, we as a technology are doing the same thing. We are bringing all of these solutions into one and trying to provide that account opening and trying to provide as almost ready to go out of the box. But at the same time, those 6 pillars, workflow designer, experience builder, rules, dashboards, integration, all of those will still give you the flexibility to change it, because no matter, I mean, the financial industry is existing for what, 400 years or so. Debit and credit is happening across all the organizations, but there is one secret sauce why it is you and it makes you who you are. So are you able to induce that secret sauce using this platform into these kind of solution, and not tied with a point solution approach where it's a black box, a coded thing, and you have to work around to fit into that box. It is other way around. The box will fit as per your need.
I just wanted to add something there.
Sure, please.
So you realize now, and just looking ahead, so banking has traditionally been transaction-based. And right now, how we are transforming, it's almost as if we're becoming like a digital avatar. That you had, I think Justin had before, neobanks, where all the physical footprints of the bank has disappeared and it's just the apps. And therefore, at that point, competition will be competing on the niche experience. So you're all going to have the same, might have the same products and services, but then it's going to be driven by that experience that you individually as bankers can create to hold and retain the customers. I said no physical presence, just an app.
Absolutely.
Click you do. So,
Absolutely.
good one, yeah.
And we are seeing that more and more. I mean, several of our customers have come back to us saying that we have hit a wall with this point solution, with this legacy application. Can we redo this whole thing on low-code platforms so that in future we never become obsolete? We always keep changing, we always keep keeping up with the pace of customers' demand, technology, and everything, which goes to exactly what Nikolai said. Single workflow with group product validations. We talked about it in detail. Common data model for cross-selling. One common data model. And it does not necessarily need to reside in one database. All you need is a way to collate those data and see it as one single view. So the API connects, the libraries, the integration becomes key here. Easy reporting and monitoring across groups, whether you are doing a customer profile, or you are doing a cross-sell campaign, or you are doing your internal analysis on the profit and loss, how easy you are able to do those reporting, and then based on the reporting, the actionables are monitored and tracked. Common customer and user experience for all products, experience that we talked about. Low-code platform for future fit solution, that's key, for future fit solutions, which means this is a platform which will not let you be obsolete going forward. So three things that we wanted to talk about: sharing of wallet, the model of customer insight, the rule-based customer segmentation, and solution-specific campaigns. We have discussed most of all of these about. I'll just highlight a couple of things like customer insight model using technology like AI and ML, segmenting the customers with appropriate product offers by using rules, and then developing those product-specific campaigns to a segmented, or if you are able to, individualized email to a customer. That's where the AI ML goes to. And here is a view of what all we have done individually at about 300 to 400 different financial services organizations globally. And this is what we have assimilated into one group online or group onboarding solution that we are taking it to our customers. So it does not always need to include everything that you see here in one solution. You can start with one, you can start with few, you can start with 10, but you can have a horizon, you can have a vision that in these many months or years, I will have all of these things in my one group online system. And with that, I'm open for any questions, or if you guys are already hungry, the lunch is also served. Okay, it looks like everybody is hungry. Let's eat. And I'm here, we all are here, my colleagues are here. Any questions, anything that you wanted to discuss, related, unrelated to this, to previous panel discussions, or Justin's presentation, we all are here. Feel free to reach out to us. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day.